What do you want me to tell you, man? Stock market ain't looking too good. Bitcoin's starting to struggle. Trump and his good old tariffs with Liberation Days round the corner. And he's throwing another 25% tariffs on car makers. I guess, medicine doesn't taste good, but it's good for you in the end, isn't it? In today's video, I'm just going to break it all down for you and where we are with everything across the board. Let's get with the program, gang. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so this is what it is. Stock market and everyone and their friend is concerned about tariffs. It's going to be Liberation Day, according to Trump, on April the 2nd. And of course, he's now put tariffs out on car makers as well, which has had a little bit of an impact across the board. But this is what you need to be mindful of. As we go into the markets today, you can see that things are a little bit tricky. The dollar dominance right now is making a nice sort of a trend to the upside, and an appreciation of 3.9% is really good for the dollar right now. However, going into the stock market, you can see Nasdaq is trying to base out at these lows. Okay, look at where investors are going. They're rolling over into gold. Gold is near its all-time high right now. And if you're going to trade gold, remember what we said yesterday, hedge fund managers are effectively hedging themselves for the next event. This is what's happening now. They're hedging themselves. They're getting out of the exposure because they tried to protect their portfolios, and then everyone's getting concerned about tariffs. They're all running into gold. So you're probably going to see gold continue with its narrative to the upside. Just be careful when if you're going to try and FOMO in and take advantage of the volatility of gold going to the upside, because it can switch at any moment and they can bring it straight back down, bid gold to prepare it to come back up later on. Now, going into the stock market, cryptocurrency, you can see Bitcoin has taken a little bit of a tumble to the downside, but it's currently stuck inside of its Asian session range. This is important because we're going to understand if Bitcoin can make a move, whether it's to the upside or to the downside. But what you got to look at where it is in relation to the daily time frame. Right now, Bitcoin is still finding resistances at the 50 EMA cloud. Been saying that these are resistance points. We need to see Bitcoin sustain above the 200 EMA to go onto the logic that it can try and break away from the 50 EMA to the upside. What good news could come out to suggest that's going to be the case? What, BlackRock's getting involved in digital asset division? That's awesome. Okay, well, give me more in the ETF. Who's moving, who's buying, who's selling? Not really seeing too much. BlackRock picked up something yesterday, 177 Bitcoin orders. Okay, cool. Not really moving though, but still at the 571 balance. Happy days. That's good news. What about the bids and the offers? Bids and offers. Well, look what's going on. They just cleared out $13 million worth of Bitcoin at the 87,000 zone. And if we zoom out a little bit, you can see that bids are starting to come in. And when we look back in, you can see that investors are starting to step in. Look at these little boxes here. You can see that there's little orders planted inside of here, and they haven't been in the market long. You've got this order here that's been in for 2 minutes. You got one that's got 31 minutes as well. You got another order here for a minute for $1 million, and you got 4.8 million that's been in there for 11 minutes. So what I'm saying to you is, price right now is grabbing investors' attention at the fear that if Bitcoin is going to go higher, they're going to want to try and grab it on the discount at this possible range. Okay, so when you're looking at the charts with Bitcoin, yeah, the daily time frame is where you need to be if you are looking for spot purchases. And what we need to see Bitcoin doing is to try and sustain itself within this candle range. That's all we need it to do. It can go up and down inside of this range as long as it doesn't lose this 85 and it can break the 88.7, then happy days, things are positive for Bitcoin. But like I said, make sure that you are waiting for at least 3 daily candle closes above the 50 EMA on the daily time frame. Not because it's the 50 EMA, it's because everyone is watching that logic and thinking that a break of a moving average is going to then end up sending price higher and higher. I'm basing it on the fact that it's accumulated enough orders in this range to then effectively make the move away from this point and continue higher to the upside. Now, whatever macroeconomics are coming into play to suggest that Bitcoin should be going higher, they will then be presented. But I do believe that the markets are trying to price in the tariffs, but until the tariffs go live on April the 2nd, that might mean there's a bit more, maybe a bit more downside movement in Bitcoin. And this is what effectively, these guys right here on the bids and the offers may be preparing for. Now, there is something that I want to draw your attention to that has started to happen, which could lead to some interesting maneuvers in the market. Draw your attention over to the Australian dollar against the yen. Where are we at? Come on, here we go. So our Aussie yen itself is starting to make a nice move to the upside. Now, why are we looking at Aussie yen? Well, the reason when you pay attention to Aussie yen is because it's one of the carry trade assets, which means that investors can borrow yen or dollars, which are deemed as low yielding assets, and they can convert that and convert it over to the Australian dollar. Now, when they do that, it's on the idea that when they've borrowed the yen and the dollar and converted it over to Australian dollar, they will then use those Australian dollars as a higher yielding asset to then put that money to work in the stock market. The best way for me to demonstrate it is like this. In front of you is Aussie yen on the 4-hour time frame. Now, if we go and add the NASDAQ to that, we can start to see a positive correlation between them. What do I mean? Well, when the Aussie it's going up, the NASDAQ is going up. When the Aussie is going down, the NASDAQ is going down. And you can see right here with the NASDAQ, it's starting to move up the same way the Australian dollar against the yen is also moving up. So what we're seeing here is that the Australian dollar is now moving up, but the NASDAQ has stopped dropping, but it is starting to base out at these lows. Now, we will never know for definite if this is going to be the case, that prices are going to appreciate from this point with the NASDAQ. So if we go over to the NASDAQ right now, you can see that there is accumulation happening and they are holding out in this range right here. So the idea is that even though Aussie yen is going up, which is giving us the idea that investors are going into higher risk assets, we make the assumption that if the NASDAQ can sustain itself from this point, the idea is that it's going to start trying to make a move to the upside because investors are buying stock on the bid side to effectively get ready to see a reversal back up. That naturally would then lead Bitcoin to try and move up. But we're not in the open of the market just yet. And of course, we've got news announcements coming out very shortly, which is the unemployment claims. Frankly, I don't think investors care about the unemployment claims. And if the unemployment claims come in at 225,000, then it's only 2,000 more than what they're projecting anyway. So it's not really a big figure. Unless we do get something crazy like 350,000 people are claiming benefit, then that's going to grab investors' attention, which will then naturally grant the Federal Reserve to start speeding up the process about cutting the interest rates. So with that information, guys, you go over to Bitcoin and you ask yourself, what could Bitcoin be getting ready for? If the idea that the Aussie yen itself is starting to move up, suggesting that investors are looking to plow into stocks right now and take advantage of the fact that it is all at a discount and maybe sell the rallies in preparation for the April 2nd tariffs, if you manage to capitalize on any movements to the upside, guys, from today until April 2nd, just take something off the table because investors, they might react quite aggressively on that day, which is Liberation Day. If you are new to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe, guys, and I'll be tuning into you all soon. Peace.